Hello friends, welcome to the second foundation video for Emotional Intelligence Life Coaching Certification. I'm really happy to tell you that the first video which we made on foundations, that was biological and psychological foundation for emotional intelligence and your emotional state, has got a tremendous response, and I really thank you all for the responses you sent me. I am very sure with your positive encouragement, I would be able to give you such videos at regular intervals and would request you to go through each and every aspect. And you can anytime be in touch with our team to understand whatever you want to, and we can have a session on any of the topics. So today we are going to discuss about the second aspect of foundations, which we have to understand before we get into the systems and tools for growth of emotional intelligence. So this particular video is on thoughts create emotions. Do you remember that we spoke about thoughts create emotions? In the last video also, when I was referring to cognitive behavior therapy, I was explaining you that the emotions are the result of thought, not the cause of thoughts. Of course, we can control our thoughts, and I told you that in positive psychology, CBT stands in very strong stead, and therefore we are going to discuss this particular concept very much in detail. And if you want to learn more, we can make a video on CBT itself in future. Now, here we are talking about emotional intelligence, so we have to understand what is emotion. Emotion is nothing. It is as the topic says, thoughts create emotion. When you move around your society or your associates, your family, your relations, you find there are common belief. Of course, we had been noting it down from our childhood that the common beliefs are too much ingrained in us. There are two common beliefs: that we should always trust our emotions, isn't it? We should always trust our emotions, or you should always trust your emotions. The second one is that feelings and emotions are irrational and cannot be trusted. So there are always two paradoxical approach to these two common beliefs. One says you should always trust, the second says these are not at all trustable. So which is the correct one? Can you decide on that? So whether your emotions are correct or your emotions are not trustworthy. So we have to understand. I just don't want to disappoint you, but both the statements are wrong. Because as we understand, and as we had been talking about, emotions and feelings are neither right nor wrong. Because emotions and feelings have always been running on autopilot system in our brain and in our body that is based on our thinking only. And what we think, that determines what is the emotion. So therefore it is very essential to understand what is the thinking aspect. Have you ever thought that if you don't think of your desire, you will never be unhappy about it? Suppose I want to purchase a Mercedes car and I don't have, I can't have. I don't have and I want to have it. And if I keep on thinking that, yeah, I want a Mercedes, I may be very miserable guy. But have you ever thought that if I don't think about it, that I want a Mercedes car, whether I'll be unhappy? Or if I take your case, have you ever been happy while not having things? Most of the time, isn't it? Because you wanted, your desires were there, you wanted to have so many things, and once you didn't have, so you were not happy about it. But if you didn't care about those things, that okay, those things are not there, but yeah, I have number of things to be happy about, will you be unhappy? No, you will not be. So if you distract yourself and you have a different perspective about your thoughts, you are not going to be unhappy about it. So what's the result? Not having does not make you feel sad. It is only your thinking and continuous thinking make you sad, and thinking about it, it does make the effect. So therefore, it is very essential that we understand that thoughts create emotions. Any event, any situation in our life, a thought of it, an interpretation of it, that causes the resultant emotion. There are cases where our unconscious mind takes some cues, and those cues trigger the emotions, but except that, I don't think so there are much of cases where without thoughts the emotions are created. So we have to see the situation, we have to interpret them, and after interpretation, that becomes the thought. Suppose, for example, you have a beautiful cup, or you have anything, like if you have a beautiful mobile with you and it is broken, and you see this broken mobile and you find it, and the thought generates, what will be your thought? Yeah, it will be anger. You will be absolutely angry about it. Yeah, the mobile has broken. So what has happened? The breaking of mobile had been a situation from which you got the thought in your mind, yeah, this is broken, and which resulted into an emotion that, yeah, angry. So emotions come from the thoughts which are generated from the situation. So we have to control our thoughts. And that is the basic principle of cognitive behavior therapy, where we can control the thoughts. In positive psychology, CBT has a very important place, and there we learn how to control our thoughts. In fact, there had been a notion that we cannot control, and if we cannot, then how we will change our emotions and how we will start seeing things positively. But no, the researchers have shown, the studies have shown that with the process and with the consistent practice, you can very well change your thoughts and control the perspective about it. So we should understand that through CBT, cognitive behavior techniques, we can control our thoughts, we can change our thoughts, and we can certainly develop a process where we can come to the required and desired emotion. So cognitive behavior therapy interrupts unhealthy thoughts, and it interrupts unhealthy thoughts and patterns, and we can very well change it with positive talks, with different affirmations, incantations, and imagery visualizations, that we can change the thought process. Since we have control over thoughts, we can very well control our emotions. And this we have to understand, that our emotional intelligence growth, because here what we are going to learn, we are going to learn the total control system of our emotions. And to control our emotions, we have to learn how to control our thought process. In the last video, if you remember, I had very clearly explained you about mindfulness. Mindfulness means that observe your thoughts without judging them, be objective, be indifferent, and then you can decide. You have to distract if they are not rumbling in your mind negatively. Then you can very well keep them, and you can very well take them forward with the better emotions. So therefore, we can control emotions, and once we control emotions, certainly our emotional intelligence process of growth expedites. So we have to take this challenge, and we should start looking into this process, that we are going to observe our thoughts, and how we can do it. That's the major thing, because we should recognize the thoughts. For recognizing thoughts, you have to see the event very properly. Now you see the same case of mobile which I discussed with you, that you have seen the broken mobile and you have generated an emotion of anger. But while realizing it, if you see that mobile had fallen because of your own fault, what will be your reaction? You will take it for this thing that, okay, it is a mistake, it has happened, and the emotion will be totally different. So you could very well change the thought. You can analyze the thought, and subsequently you can change the emotion. So recognize emotions, identify thought, change thought, and then change emotions. So here we have seen this thing, that initially we had an emotion of anger, but when we saw the anger emotion, we started perceiving the thought, that from which thought this anger came. Then we realized that it can be changed to different thought, that it was my mistake. So the thought has changed and the emotions have changed also. So basically what we have to do, we have to develop this power within ourselves, that how to analyze emotions and understand from which thought it has come, and if we can change that thought to get a better emotional state, that is the power which we will be getting in this emotional intelligence growth life coaching certification. So we are going to work on these systems and tools. Now, focusing on something else, Suppose such type of thoughts, negative thoughts are coming into your mind. It is very natural in today's world, in today's society and atmosphere. Every moment you have number of negative thoughts with you. Now those negative thoughts, they keep on coming into your mind. Now how to get rid of that? You have to distract yourself. You have to start thinking to other things. You have to start focusing to other events. You have to start distracting yourself from those thoughts. Of course, you have learned the habit of observing them, so you can very well understand the rumblings of those sound, whether it is negative or positive. And if it is negative, you can very well distract yourself and focus on something else, so that the negativity of the thoughts die its own death. So this is the habit which we have to develop with practice. Once we get into the exercises and other systems, we keep on practicing it and we develop this habit. Second thing is that we can change our perspective. Like, as I had explained about mobile explanation to all of you, that you can change your perspective. That someone might be having some other perspective, you might be having some other perspective. But your perspective, because that creates emotions, maybe negative. So you have to change your perspective after analyzing the thought process. You can very well start looking into the positive emotional set point, as discussed in the last video also, that we can develop nucleus accumbens and we can create a moment of reward, appreciation in the form of emotions. Therefore, perspective has to be transformed. So we should work on this, that thoughts, negative thoughts, how they can be stopped, how they can be changed, how they can be transformed into positive thoughts, so that they can convert into positive emotions. Now, when we focus on something else, certainly those thoughts just get away from us. But some of the thoughts are always haunting you. So then we have to work on them. We have to understand them, observe them, judge them, and try to accept them, not to continue with that negativity for longer time to harm yourself, but to accept those thoughts and then analyze and remove them from our system. We have already told you about finding a new perspective, which we can very easily develop when we get this habit. So perspectives can be miserable, perspectives can be optimistic, perspective can be appreciative, they can be happy, they can be negative. So we have to see that which emotional scale perspective we are going to give to a particular thought. But as we all want happiness in our life, we should change our perspective to the positivity and positive. We should develop emotional positive set point. So that's the major and nutshell crux of how the emotions are developed and how thoughts are important for emotions, because thoughts create emotions. And I believe in that every emotion is created by thoughts, except few triggers. I believe that our perception, our thought process, our perception of events, our perception of relationship, our thought process of to understand any of the situation are the major reason for our emotional state. And that emotional state, okay, if they are helpful for us, they are not hurting us, they are happy emotional state, positive emotional state, it's fine. But if they are not, certainly they are going to harm us for long time. So we should not suffer. And therefore, we should always feel that our thought are responsible for emotion. The thought create emotions, and after the emotions, the decisions are taken. How? Because if you suppose you get a thought of anger, as you have seen, suppose I had seen it that, yeah, mobile is broken, and I find that, okay, someone must have broken, but I got angry and I have taken some decision to punish someone, and subsequently I have taken action to punish it. So what would have happened? It was a wrong decision. So we have to see that our emotions are correct, which result into the correct decisions. So the thought process has to be completely perfect according to an individual. It can be different with you, it can be different with another A, B, C person. But thought creates emotions, emotion creates decisions. And the decisions, when they are created, an action is generated out of those decisions, and then the result comes. So the major cause and effect theory works here. That is, if thought is positive, certainly result is positive. And similarly, all the ingredients in between, like emotions, decisions, actions, all will be positive. So let's understand this foundation also about emotions, so that we can very well understand emotions and start controlling our thoughts to get a wonderful emotional intelligence growth pattern. So I'm very sure you must have liked this video also. And subsequently, we are going to talk to you about a very important video in the next video of mine. That will be Foundations, third video, which is the emotional scale. So every alternate days, we are going to give you some valuable videos on emotional intelligence till we complete the foundations part. And by end of this month, we are coming with a very interesting webinar on happiness and stress. So we'll be looking forward to join you with for this particular webinar, and let's meet again in the third video. Thank you. Have a beautiful life, have a happy life, and positive with all the positive emotions. Thank you.